Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you on the 4th of January 2020 from the woods back behind my house with a survival special. Today I'm going to talk to you about emergency survival staffs walking sticks, and I got a story to tell you about this one right here. And the key thing is, you might find yourself caught out in the wilderness. You might find yourself out in the woods and not have any means to defend yourself, or not have a good walking stick. Maybe all you got's a pocket knife. I hope you carry a pocket knife on you. A pocket knife is a critical tool. I'll do a video on knives pretty soon. But you want a good pocket knife at all times, because a pocket knife is not going to defend you from a wolf or a big dog, but it might help you to make other tools. Now, Greg, this looks rough. Yeah, this is old. I'm going to tell you a story about it here in a little bit. Because that stick could have potentially saved my life back in 1981. So here's what I discovered as a kid. When I was a kid, I discovered that if you found a good little sapling like this maybe, that you could have a heck of a walking cane, walking stick, because the root ball right down below the surface has got a lot of roots. They have a mass there. It makes something that you could toss and throw. Well, it gives mass to use as a club, let me put it that way. And the roots can be sharpened. At one time, these were sharpened tines right here on the end of this stick. But I had a dog, not that dog. Anybody want a dog? I had a dog that chewed my sharpened tines off later, at some of the later point in time. So what I discovered was that these root balls, tree saplings, made great walking sticks and good defensive weapons if you should need them. And in fact, when I was in basic training in the Army, the thing I liked best about that was bivouac, because I finally got back out in the woods, which I love to be in, and I had a good time. I could probably tell you a lot of stories about that. But what I am going to tell you is that we had M16 rifles, and we were told we had to defend those rifles, and that the drill sergeants would sneak around and try to steal them from us at night, and if they succeeded, we were in a lot of trouble. They also told us that we could do whatever we needed to do to defend our rifle. And I go, yes! I had a couple of drill sergeants I really, especially one, really wanted a good excuse to clobber if I could get away with it outside of the Articles of Military Justice. So, Uniform Code of Military Justice, you did not want what is called an Article 15, which some of you may know what that is. That said, I found me a real nice suitable root ball club, and they probably saw me with it because nobody bothered me in my bunk. I took that M16, I tied it to my leg with a bootlace inside of my sleeping bag, and I was just praying, please, oh please, drill sergeants, please come in my tent tonight. Oh, I didn't have any visitors. I was so disappointed. But all that said, I found myself in May of 1981 stranded in Alaska, 20 miles out in the wilderness. I was out with some Boy Scouts. I was being an adult advisor helping a Boy Scout troop. And there were 2 carloads of people. And one carload left, and the scoutmaster asked the other kids, where's Greg Allison? They said, oh, he went off with the first carload. I told them that I was going to hike on the other side of this mountain to look at this log cabin that was back there, a settler's squatter's log cabin that I'd seen previously, and there was people ice fishing on this other lake. Well, it just so happens that when I got back, everyone was gone. And all I had was my canteen and my pocket knife. I'm out in the wilderness realizing it's 20 miles back to base, and I know I gotta walk it. Fortunately, it was morning, and fortunately, I had a pocket knife. And I knew that there were wolves. There were big dogs, not to mention bear and moose. The most deadly animal in Alaska, believe it or not, is a moose. So what in the world am I going to do? How am I going to defend myself and get out of here alive in one piece? It was my objective to stay alive, thrive, and out of the hive, although I didn't know about the hive in those days. Might have been in it. I was in the military. That's another story. I'm going to have many more stories about survival, so make sure, if you've not subscribed to my channel, to subscribe and bang the notification bell. It's going to give you 3 options. Pick all, so you get all my notifications, because I tell you a lot about survival, how to thrive, how to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. I teach you how to grow wild edibles, how to eat wild edibles, how to grow your garden indoors and or outdoors. Microgreens inside, I show raised bed outside, and I'll do more on aquaponics in the future. But I'm going to talk about this walking stick. But before I do, support my channel. Please check the links below or check them out. If you want survival supplies right now with all this stuff going on in the Mideast, you better think real hard about prepping and survival supplies. My Patriot Supply is an excellent source for that. Also, you're going to need to be able to grow your own food, because it may not be available soon, especially if the grid goes down, which could really happen now. So check out True Leaf Market. Also, you can get microgreen supplies from, and you really need to raise worms now. And I sell worms year-round. I ship to everywhere but Hawaii. So www.greengregswormfarm.com. Now back to the stick. Let's get on the stick. Greg, where did the stick come from? What happened? Well, what happened was I did find a suitable root ball, a plant, a staff. This was a tree. I found this one, fortunately, laying on the side of the road. I have pulled them up out of the ground. That's a lot of work. So if you can avoid it, if you happen to be on the roadside, you might be lucky enough to find one. These two roots right here stuck out a good ways, and I had them sharpened off with my pocket knife. And I sharpened off the bottom of the stick. Yes, I've had this stick since 1981. I preserved it just for the memory of the occasion. And lo and behold, today looks like some kind of bird. Right? I get humor by all kind of things, right? And you got a bill that too, right? Looks just like a bird. But anyway, or something else. But this stick could have saved my life had I been hiking back, because I had to hike through the wilderness. And before I got back to base, eventually I made it to a highway. And there were some homes in Alaska. You don't have little bitty dogs running outside. In Alaska, you've only got the big dogs, mostly husky and malamute. Anything else that they had to put up at nighttime. The husky and malamute would sleep out in the snow. They were ruggedized for Alaska, and that requires being extremely rugged, and they had a lot of fur. So you didn't know what might come up on you. Now, malamute was about half wolf anyway. You didn't know what was going to come up on you in the wilderness. You didn't know what was going to come up at you in terms of people even. Or other animals. So I had my means of defense. This was it. Is the best I could do. At one time, this was a greener stick, more massive, but I had this end of this root ball fashioned into a weapon, and it also made a nice little walking handle. See, had a walking cane, and I cut it off at the height. Now I've seen all kind of stories about staffs and how you want them, like 6 foot tall or your body height and different stories like that. There's a lot of videos out there on YouTube about those kind of things for survival. But this is a good height because it made a walking cane. It worked perfect for me. And it's easy to swing this thing. So you get too hard, too long, and you may not be able to swing it this way. You might be able to use it in other modes, but this is a good swinging stick. I can swing it, and it made for a good potential weapon should I have needed to use it. Fortunately, that need did not occur, not on that trip. But nonetheless, I had it just in case I needed it. And on a 20-mile hike, it is a good thing, and it is helpful to have a staff. It just kind of helps you as you're walking, especially when you're on terrain that's uneven. When you're hiking out of the wilderness, something like this is good to have, trust me. So that's it. Find a root ball. You look around, there's a lot of saplings available. There's many out here in these woods. If you're lucky, you'll find one that's just been uprooted, especially if you get alongside a road where they do road work. A lot of times you'll find these things that are just uprooted. You don't want it too dry, too brittle. This would probably not be one I'd use today, although it's still in pretty good shape. And it's still tough. It dried out good, so it's not going to break easy because it's been taken care of. I haven't kept out of the winter. I'm putting pressure on it there against this tree. But look out here, you can see plenty of staffs, potential staffs. You could take a big long one like this tree right here. If you want the full length 6 foot staff, you could cut that and whittle off the ends of the pocket knife. It's got some spots where it's not exactly straight. I've seen videos of people using hoe handles and such stuff. Well, friends, you're not going to find a hoe handle out in the middle of the wilderness. Sometimes you got to be field expedient. You got to use what you got. But sometimes you need a tool or two with you to help you take advantage, a force multiplier. And that force multiplier might be your pocket knife. You need a pocket knife. You're going to need a hunting knife. You might need a bigger knife for clearing and doing other work. I will cover those topics in a future video, not too far from now. So please, again, subscribe to my channel, bang the update notification bell, and click all. I'm going to talk a whole lot about topics that you need to be aware to prepare of today. We're living in challenging times. The Mideast is catching on fire at the moment. China, God knows where they're going. They're the big long-range challenge to the United States. There are many, many challenges to people all over the world. We're all in this planet together. I'm not blaming anybody anywhere for anything in terms of people and nationalities. It's always the governments that put us all in the perils that we're in. You'll find good people anywhere in the world. And you also find bad people. Another reason you might want a walking stick. It may not be the bear, it might be the man that you got to defend yourself from. Let's hope not. But that is a nice, quick, field expedient device that you can come up with out in the middle of the wilderness. Anywhere there's trees that grow at least waist high. This is a little bit more than waist high, as you can see here. But you get the idea. This is a little bit more than a walking cane height, typically, really, unless you're jabbing it in some soft ground. In Alaska, you've got a lot of the moss that grows out in the forest, so things will penetrate pretty deep with that thick layer of sphagnum moss or whatever it is that grows in the forest up there. The forest in Alaska is like a cushion. Everywhere you walk is like a cushion. We don't have that cushion here. We got just a little bit of stuff on the forest floor here, and then it's dirt right underneath that, a little thin layer of topsoil, and then clay underneath that. That's what we have locally. But in Alaska, you're walking on a cushion. In most places. Not everywhere, but most places. So, Alaska was a lot of fun. It was an interesting place. It was like going to another planet. And maybe I'll tell more stories about that place in the future. But they've got to fit within the theme of this channel. All that said, just remember, you got to be creative so that you can be aware to prepare, and your preparations might just be a pocket knife. You better have a canteen if you're out way in the middle of nowhere. And if you got means to purify and sanitize your water, that's what you're going to need. I've got a video on that. I do videos on how to eat from the trees. And a lot of food up in these pine trees. A whole lot. I could live right here. I could survive right here. Food, fuel, everything I need to get me by for a little while is right here. Am I clear? So, again, please bang up that notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.